But our next guest is Jeff Middleswart. He's president and director of research at Behind the Numbers. This is an independent research firm that spots short-selling opportunities for institutional investors as well as hedge funds. He joins us now live from Dallas. Jeff, good to see you again. You've been on the show before.
Oh, yes. Thanks for having me back, Lisa.
Well, look, clearly a lot of analysts out over the last week or so talking about how bullish they are and how bullish sort of macroeconomic factors are, at least for U.S. stocks. But let's talk about some very specific companies that I know you think are going to have some tough times going forward. And I know, one thing that we all hate to pay are taxes, sales taxes in particular, which is something that's helped out internet companies.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you've had all the internet companies have always benefited from not paying sales taxes, and one of the big conditions you have going on now is states and municipalities are looking for new revenue sources. And usually the way they establish whether or not a company has to pay sales tax on internet is whether or not they have a physical presence in that state or city. And so when we look for things, we focused on something like Amazon. Amazon, has grown over the years, and it's had, built more distribution centers. It's built more warehouses. So in a state like Texas, they're now being sued for $269 million by the state of Texas in uncollected sales tax from 2005 to 2009.
Now, Amazon has clearly done very well over the year to date. We just saw a chart, by the way, up there. Here's Amazon year to date, up close to 31%. And we had a list there of, I think, the risk, sales tax risks to specific companies that you recommend shorting, Amazon being one of them. Talk to us about Vistaprint.
Vistaprint is a company that's based in Boston. Their actual headquarters is in the Netherlands for tax reasons, and they do a lot of their work in Jamaica, and they route stuff in through Canada and then into the United States. They basically they're undercutting traditional printers with a lot of these tax savings. And one of the things. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask you quickly, Jeff, this is something that you think the government, is this because of a budget crunch? Is this because of a lot of municipalities having difficulties that they're going to start imposing these sales taxes on these internet companies?
I think they'll start looking more closely at where somebody has a physical nexus and whether or not they should have to pay more taxes. And so a company like a Vistaprint, where a lot of their businesses is done overseas and it just ships into the United States, they did set up internet kiosks in a lot of Office Max stores, which gives them a physical nexus in our view. It's very similar to Gateway Computer if you go back maybe 10 or 12 years.
Gotcha.
When Gateway was all internet sales, and then they built the stores where you could buy on the internet in the store.
Got it.
States came after them that way.
Let's move on to Priceline as well. This is a company that's done extraordinarily well just this year.
Priceline has an issue as well. Basically, when they're selling discounted hotel and car rental fees to customers, let's say the hotel was originally $100 and Priceline buys it for $60. Priceline's been paying the tax on the $60 fee, even though they might resell that hotel room for $80. And what you've got now is a lot of states and municipalities going after Priceline and other travel agents, firms like this, because they want the incremental tax from $60 to $80. And so they're suing these guys for hundreds of millions of dollars, and going back over a decade for some of these unpaid rental car taxes and hotel taxes because municipalities are just broke, and a lot of this money is supposed to go to stadiums.
Jeff, along those lines, feeling sort of the cash crunch across the country, another thesis you have is that Corrections Corp, this is an interesting company, one that you don't hear a lot about every day, is another one to sell.
Yeah, this kind of goes into the austerity play. The bulls like Corrections Corp because outsourcing is viewed as a cheaper way for cities and states to deal with their prisons and the prison populations. And what we found is that it's actually a lot cheaper to just not put somebody in jail to begin with. You're talking about it's about $50,000 to put somebody in jail. You also have to then pay welfare to his family while the guy's in jail. So we're talking about a big number. Outsourcing might save you $1,000 or two here and there, but in reality, if you can basically give these guys a fine, use house arrest, use probation, early release, a lot of this is going to save a lot more money than outsourcing.
And
the other problem that You can already see in Corrections Corp that the problems are starting to develop in that they're not getting revenue increases from the states, their occupancies are coming down, and crime is actually going down as well, because as the population gets older, we just don't have the same crime problem we had in the past. Plus, illegal immigrants have all gone home. So there's a lot of negative trends that are building right now for Corrections Corp.
All right, Jeff, you know what, we're going to have to leave it there today. It's always interesting to have you on, and you're always sort of talking, at least this year, sort of against the general trend. Thanks so much. Jeff Middleswart of Behind the Numbers, coming to us live from Dallas.